We are here to talk about the very best comic books you can get your hands on this week. Now, this is a 5th release week. Normally, that's when they kind of put out their annuals. This year, we also got Amazing Fantasy 1000, fake milestone issue. We also got the follow-up, or I guess the conclusion to the Warworld Saga and Action comics. So it's hard to find good comic books on an annual week. This is kind of the way it is in comic books nowadays. Annuals aren't what they used to be. And here to talk to me about the very best comic books that you can actually go out there and know that you spent good hard money on and you're going to enjoy is Drew from Comics Lead. How you doing, Drew?
Doing great, Wes. Glad to be here. My allergy season here in Indiana, so if I cough, I apologize. I am fine. I'll live.
You don't need to apologize, sir. It happens to the best of us. I want to talk about Nottingham number 10 from Mad Cave Studios. David is on writing, Shane Gonery Volk illustrating. This thing just gets better and better. We had all kinds of twists and turns during this second story arc, and really this final issue, while it doesn't tie up all the plot threads that are going on, it leaves so much more story on the bone while providing a satisfying conclusion to the story, while also twisting and turning everything you thought you knew about the story on its head. I was just amazed by how good it was. I love this comic book. It's absolutely fantastic. Nottingham is just one of those undiscovered jewels for a lot of people that if they go in there and read it, you're going to see fantastic, just wonderful comic book art and a really engaging Robin Hood story that I think is probably the best interpretation of Robin Hood we've seen just in entertainment in general in probably like 20 years.
Since the Kevin Costner, Peter Berg films from the early 90s, those were the Patrick Bergen film in the 90s. It's the best. And it's an absolute crime that no one like from the Eisners or the Ringo Awards, none of the creators at all have been nominated or recognized for this work. It is amazing what they've done. And my brother Kyle, he likens it to Game of Thrones, how they set up this last issue. It's kind of like how it's not really endings. It's kind of like in some ways new beginnings, new directions for characters. It's like, you can't end this here. This is not ending. There's going to be a book 3. I cannot wait. It's not as exciting as the ending to part 1, but it's exciting in the fact that we're seeing new beginnings happening, and it's going to get crazy from what we're given. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. This is a very fun issue. Very great series. You need to check this out.
Sometimes when they slow roll you on an ending, I get a little bit upset, but there's so much stuff that I'm interested in. Like, I cannot wait to come back for more. I wish it was coming out next week, but I'm willing to wait on it because the art is so good. The storytelling, very tight. Thumbs up to Mad Cave. You got an absolute gem on your hands. Let's go over to one of your big recommendations from Scout Comics, Pentagram of Horror number 4. Marco Fontanelli's, is it the best work of his life? I think so.
I would 100% agree. In my opinion, every issue he has done, written and illustrated, has been fantastic. He is one of the best horror illustrators right now. This story, this was a vicious, heartbreaking, and violent story. It's the Old West, a former sheriff who's being hung. But why? We understand why he's being hung. You know, it's something, he does something evil, and he mans up for what he did. This is one of the first ones that really had a in-depth story, and it was a very tragically well-told one. I cannot recommend this issue or this series enough. This is another hidden gem people really do need to be checking out.
This one felt much more like an Ice Cream Man story, but with much better art. That's the way I kind of walked away from it.
Absolutely. And Mark Fontanelli, yeah, people need to discover this guy. He is amazing.
So definitely, if you're a fan of horror comic books, definitely be checking out Scout Comics. They got a lot of stuff out there. Let's go over to Opus Comics, Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer number 4, Mitch Iverson, Stefano Martino on this one. This is basically fleshing out the Death Dealer character that we've known for decades at this point.
Yeah, I've really been digging the story. I've been digging the art. This issue, holy crap, yeah, we get the origin of Kerr and how he came across the helmet, and it's very messed up how he came across it and how he got it. Perhaps he was destined to find the helmet? Maybe. And it looks like the person who kidnapped the mother of the child from issue 1 may have some ties to Kerr as well. It gets bloody, it gets nasty, which is glorious in my opinion. And the ending goes away I didn't even see coming. And I didn't even think they would go there where they go. It is amazing. Where Kerr's going next, I got to see this. This was an epic first arc, and I love this series. Death Dealer number 4. You guys got to be reading Death Dealer.
It's good. It can be very difficult to find Opus Comics. Obviously, they're a very, very small publisher, but it's definitely worth your time to go out there, do a little investigating, and see if you can find some of these copies on the interwebs, because you're definitely going to enjoy that comic book series. Let's head back over to Scout, talk a little bit more about some horror comics. Playthings number 3, John Clark writing, Travis Williamson illustrating.
Really damn creepy. This whole series has just been creepy, and the illustrations, you know, it's not my brother's cup of tea, but I feel like the art really sticks out for that story. It fits that story well. It's creepy, unsettling art for a creepy, unsettling story, and this story does a fantastic job of building the suspense and not having us know when the jumps are going to happen. And I love that in a horror comic. That's hard to get. So our hero mom is on the hunt for her daughter, and she may have a solid lead on who took her. However, this is when things take an even weirder turn, if they weren't already weird, with a talking murderous doll. I love the art. It is fantastic. This is a terrific horror series people need to be reading as well. Playthings number 3.
Scout Comics has definitely been coming up. They got a lot of things in the fires right now. And as far as the smaller publishers, I won't put it over Vault yet, because I still think Vault is kind of the gold standard of a really small press. But Scout is right there with them. They're on their heels. Let's go over to something a little bit bigger in nature. Mark Millar, everyone knows who he is. He's got his Miller World Comics, obviously publishing through Image. Magic Order, Volume 3, Number 2, with Gigi Cavegno as the artist here. A lot of people have really enjoyed the Magic Order. Feels like there's going to be some more Magic Order in the future, probably on a Netflix-type series and whatnot. But a lot of cool things happening in this series right now.
Absolutely, and this issue is pretty interesting and fun as well, because we see the romance early on. We see the beginning of the romances. You know, we see where the kids came from. We see that the mother had always known what would happen and how things would play out. And the dad was like, yeah, whatever, let's just go to bed. Yeah, right, let's just do this, right? It's pretty funny. We get treachery, we get infighting, deceit, rekindling old flames, and we have a somewhat shocking cliffhanger. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it still rocks. Mark Millar, master storyteller. He's killing it right now.
Absolutely. Mark Millar is in demand, and I think we're going to see Magic Order in that crossover book he's got coming up with Pepe the Raz, which should look like $1 million. We'll probably see that. We'll see some of the, Kick-Ass, all those kind of big characters that Mark Millar's known for. Let's go over to the big two. Marvel Comics really didn't have anything new worth talking about. Thankfully, they're actually repurposing Bad Blood, the Deadpool series that Liefeld did quite a few years ago. They're breaking it up into chapters, releasing it as a comic book. Deadpool Bad Blood number 4, Rob Liefeld writing and illustrating with help from Chris Sims and Chad Bowers.
It says a lot when you have all these X titles, this big crossover going on. When you're reading those, you're just thinking, God, these just suck. These are not fun. They're not exciting. These are not the characters. And you get a book like this, Deadpool Bad Blood. It is just straight up fun, action-packed. You get the characters for who they are. It is amazing. And this was a fun ending to this story. Action-packed, well-illustrated, and well-paced. Deadpool and Kane throwing down. I loved it. They're throwing down for almost half the comic. It is amazing. They don't make Marvel comics like this anymore, which is a shame. This is arguably the best and most fun Marvel comic I read this week.
Yeah, Bad Blood, Deadpool. There's so much action in that issue. Definitely check that one out. Now let's go over to DC Comics. They had a new comic at least worth reading this week. Superman Warworld Apocalypse number 1, Philip Kennedy Johnson, and various artists. I think there's 4 or 5 of them on here. This is the end of the Warworld Saga. Clark Kent is coming home. He's going to kiss Lois Lane. He's finally going to see John Kent and all that good stuff. But he has to defeat Mongol first. I like this issue. I do not hate it. I just want people to know that. There's a reason I'm recommending it. Because if you stay with the story, I think you should get to the ending. And it does pay off pretty well. My only gripe with this is, if you've been setting this story up for 16 months and you've been playing it out for that long, I would have hoped they would have been ready for the ending to happen, because it feels like a lot of it was just kind of it happened because it needed to happen, rather than them thinking about it ahead of time and really setting it up for the really big impact that it should have. So it was a little bit disappointing, but I still enjoyed it.
Yes, I am of the same mind, where it's like I liked it, but I didn't love it. We had a great Steve Beach cover. Steve Beach rocked it. And but we had no Riccardo Federici on the art. It's like, really? The guy who started this thing, really, with him? I couldn't believe this. Not a single panel, nothing. Not even a variant cover. I really wish the story had involved more of Superman and Mongol fighting. I mean, if you go in expecting them to throw down most of the comic, you're not going to get that. You're going to get a few pages here and there, but it's mostly about the outliers, the people the civilians on the planet trying to survive. And trying
they're
to
already doing their side missions.
Yes, you're going to get a lot of the side missions in this. But it is a satisfying ending. But like you said, it felt like they really rushed to it. You guys have had like almost 2 years to work on this. This is crazy. Yeah, it was good. It was a good, satisfying ending. It could have been better, but yeah, it is worth checking out.
Yeah, I think most people that read Warworld Saga will enjoy the ending to a degree, but I think they'll also notice it's like, I wish they would have planned this out a little bit better, because there was a time when it was like filler for a couple, 3 months, and they really could have prepared for that ending and got things in order better. But it's definitely the best thing DC Comics put out this week. So, Drew, FLC is over for Born of Blood #1. How did it go?
It went very well. We had over, I believe, 7,100 copies were ordered for Born of Blood #1. So I want to say, thank you to everyone out there who backed this, and all the store owners out there. Thank you for backing this. Thank you for taking a chance on this. I truly appreciate it, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And yeah, just wait. If you loved issue 1, you're gonna love issue 2 even more. I've given it to people to read and review. They're really loving it. It's going to challenge some people, because it's going to go areas where it's like, whoa, I didn't see this coming. But that's what you're supposed to do with art. But thank you once again to everyone who backed Born of Blood #1. You will truly appreciate it. You will truly like it when it comes out.
There was a time when Marvel didn't produce all that much filler or comic books that you wouldn't want to read. In fact, I had my good friend Eric Breen, who's been a Marvel Comics reader since he was just a wee little lad, and I think he's in his 50s now. He's been reading Marvel Comics a long time. And we talked about the best Marvel comic stories of all times, according to Breen. This thing is absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for some older stories, some classic Marvel to check out that you haven't seen yet, check this video out. We have a great list. If you're on a mobile device, there's a link in the video description.